Now, I just concluded a reading from the wonderful small handbook, the facts, from the Facts on series, Jesus the Messiah. And I just want to give this commentary because it's very important. The Jewish people are without excuse. Okay, now no one has an excuse at all, but I'm just particularly dealing with the Jewish people. They do not have any excuse to not recognize Jesus as the Messiah. Why? Because Elohim has given so many pageants and stories that indicate what Messiah was going to do that they are without excuse. Let me give you the first one, okay? When Abraham took Ishak, which means laughter, by the way, Isaac, okay, and was about to sacrifice him, that is a pageant or a picture, okay, what, Messiah was going to do, okay, that he was going to give his life as a ransom for many. I mean, it's just inescapable portrait of the Father sacrificing his Son, okay? In other words, the Father sending his Son to redeem man. I mean, it's just a picture. It's inescapable, though. Okay? Now, of course, the first one is in Genesis, okay? Chapter 3, verse 15, all right? In the Torah itself. I mean, that's just the deal. And what is it? Well, it's the statement that Elohim made that, that Satan was going to bruise him on the heel, meaning the Messiah. He was going to bruise him in the heel. Okay? Now, chapter 4 of Genesis explains that Jehovah was going to come as a man. Why? Well, I mean, you see there that Eve gave birth. Okay? And she said that I received, a man, even the Jehovah. Even the Jehovah, it says in Hebrew, though. Inescapable. Okay, even the Jehovah. That's just as though we don't see that in English. But it says, I have received a man, even the Jehovah. Even the Jehovah, though. That Jehovah was going to come as a man. But she didn't know that wasn't going to be Jehovah, though. That was Cain, okay? That's just the deal. And you have so many examples of it in Genesis. It's really insane not to believe in the Messiah's work. Now you see the supreme example in Genesis, capping everything off. Okay, now you see the example of Joseph. Okay, not Joseph of the New Testament, but Joseph of the Old Testament. Now remember that his brothers were very jealous of a dream that Joseph had. Joseph said to them that one day they were going to bow at the presence of their brother, meaning Joseph. They were going to bow down to him. They were jealous. They wanted to kill him. They got rid of him in a pit. And Joseph was taken out of the pit. And ultimately, he became second in charge of Egypt. Okay? Only second to Pharaoh himself. So you see that towards the end of the story, okay, there was a famine in the land. And then Jacob, told Joseph's brothers. Joseph was not at home at the time. He was Pharaoh of Egypt. They didn't know that. He commanded his sons to go and get some food in Egypt, okay? So they go on their way, and then they go to the king, okay? Now remember that there's a second double-sided prophecy here. First of all, Joseph had to suffer before becoming, king, okay? He had a Shabbat. He had to go and be put into the pit by his own brothers. Doesn't it sound familiar? Doesn't it sound familiar, okay, that Jesus was put to death by, by Roman soldiers. But who instigated it, though? Now, they can deny all they want. The reason why they deny it is they don't want, people to persecute them in the flesh. Okay, Nazi Germany, things like that. There you go. Even domestic violence and things like that ought to be shunned. But they are very skittish of this, the Jews, of being persecuted in the flesh. That's why they don't want any indication that they had something to do with Jesus' death. But that's what the deal is. If they would have known, okay, who Jesus was, says Paul, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. So they did have a part in Jesus' death. Caiaphas was the high priest, okay, and was part of one of the 3 trials that tried Jesus. He was tried by Caiaphas, okay, and the Sanhedrin. He was tried by Herod, who was a Jew, okay, who was a Jew. And he was tried by Pontius Pilate, governor of Rome. Okay, so there were 3 trials. So don't tell me that the Jewish people didn't have anything to do with the death of Jesus. That's just a lie of Satan, okay? They don't want you to think that because they don't want you to persecute them. Now, they shouldn't be persecuted for that, okay? Right? Because not all the Jews had a part in Jesus' death, okay? Not all the Jews did. Now, Mary Magdalene didn't. Mary, the mother of Jesus, didn't, okay? Martha didn't, okay? All right? Lazarus didn't, okay? I mean, these people did not have part in Jesus' death. Now, if you want to spiritualize everything and say, well, we had a part in Jesus' death because of our sin, okay, fine, I'll grant you that. But physically, all the Jews did not have blame for Jesus' death, though. Peter didn't have, guilt because of, putting Jesus to death or something like that. It was Judas, though. Okay? So to blame the Jews, okay, for the death of Jesus is not a good thing to do. But to say, on the other hand, okay, that they didn't have anything to do with the death of Jesus is totally absurd. Okay, I mean, I just gave you the proof, and don't tell me that Caiaphas wasn't a real person. Of course, nobody's going to tell me that because his bones were found in around the Temple Mount area. Okay, in 1990. Joseph Caiaphas. The bones were found in a ossuary, okay, with his name on it. Ossuary is around a 2x3 stone chest, 2x4, something like that, stone chest where bones were contained. It's a second burial system, okay? That's just a deal. So, and that was around 20 BC to 70 AD, second burial system. So, I mean, you see there, getting back to Joseph, okay, from the Old Testament, right? You see there very clearly that, okay, that Joseph had brothers. They were jealous of him, okay, and they wanted him killed. They threw him in a pit, okay? That's the picture of the cross right there, okay? And that's just the deal. And then after that, what he gives a prophecy, okay, to he interprets the dream of Pharaoh, okay, I should say, and then he becomes second in charge. All of Egypt, okay, all of Egypt, though. All right, all of Egypt, though. That is an example that Jesus is going to reign here upon earth, point blank, and it's just the deal, though. And who goes to Joseph? Well, the brothers. Now, did they recognize him right away in Genesis? No, they did not. They did not recognize him right away. As a matter of fact, that's in the Jewish scriptures, though. They didn't recognize their brother Joseph right away, though. You see? Only it took Joseph, okay, talking to them to reveal to them who he actually was. Okay? That's what it was. That's just the deal, though. And then they knew, and then they wept, and then they recognized their brother. You see? But then they kneeled. Before all of that, they kneeled before him. That's another picture of every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess that Jesus is Lord. That's just the deal, though. So you have, I mean, how can it be so clear? In Genesis, you have, okay, in the Torah that they say that they believe in, okay? They trusted the Torah with their lives, by the way. Okay? They have it in every shape and color. They have it in every size. Okay? Have it in English and Hebrew and Greek, the Torah. And they still don't believe in it. They just don't, though. Now, you can do things, okay, according to the Torah. It doesn't make you saved, though. It doesn't give you eternal life. Okay? It just doesn't, though. That's just the deal. I mean, it's just because you think that you obey the Torah doesn't mean you're pleasing Elohim, though. Okay? You know what Job says, that you don't get righteousness because of that, though. You got to admit that you were wrong to God. That's how you get righteousness, though. If you got to admit to him that you're as dirty, despicable, dirty, rotten rabbi of a sinner. That's what you got to do. You have to do it. And if you don't do it, it doesn't matter how many works you did before you die. It's not going to be counted. All of his righteousness is not going to be remembered according to Ezekiel. Not one bit of righteousness according to Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and all the prophets. All of your righteousness are as filthy rags. That's what he says. Isaiah. It doesn't matter what you think you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're a rabbi of 100 synagogues. You're going to go to Sheol. Why? Because you're a sinner. And you're rejecting God's only possible Messiah. You have the weeks of Daniel, okay, right? You have the 70 weeks. You have the 69 weeks of, 69 sets of sevens, of 7 years. The Messiah had to come and you still deny it. You have the Talmud explaining to you, which you say that these are teachers, okay, of the Talmud, the highest scholars, and then you still don't listen to him, though. It says in the Talmud that the Messiah had to have come, okay? All right? You have Jewish people living, 50 years before the Messiah saying, listen, in 50 years, the Messiah has to come. In 50 years. In 50 years. It has to come. And if he doesn't come, well, we're in trouble, okay? That's just the deal. I mean, you have people living in the time, okay, of Jesus, thinking that the Messiah had to have come already, though. You have the Talmud saying it, you have it all over the place. And yet they still don't believe. They still don't believe, though. And then you have people like Aquila, okay, a Jewish scholar, okay, changing the Septuagint, okay, because it sounds too much like a Christian doctrine. The Septuagint was translated by 72 Jewish scholars, by the way, that completed their work around 132 BC, I should say. The reason why it sounds Christian is because the prophecies come from the Old Testament and were fulfilled. That's just the deal, though. It's really absolutely amazing to me that the Jewish people think that they're going to be saved by the law. It's just like in the Torah, okay, in the book of Deuteronomy, and all the people said amen. We're going to do everything that's written in the law. And then they whine and squeal and complain and murmur. And then they don't do what's written in the law, and they get it. They want to go to heaven according to the law, and they couldn't even escape Babylon. They couldn't even escape that captivity of Babylon, and you want to go to heaven? Are you kidding? You're crazy, right? I mean, you didn't escape Egypt. You didn't escape by your own will, though. It was by your crying to God in Egypt that you were delivered. That's how you are delivered now. You are in spiritual Egypt. You're a spiritual, dead, rotten sinner, and you have to call out to God. And the problem is you don't do it. Yes, in the morning, according to the Jewish people that spoke to me, you give thanks for your eyesight. But the spiritual eyes are still blind, though. You can't see the Messiah. You can't see Jesus. How come Jewish people, like the two nice Jewish boys and people like that, how can they believe in the Messiah? How can they believe that Jesus is Christ? Well, because the veil is taken away. That's the only way. And they admit that their works are nothing and they're filthy rags. I mean, Now you have a zeal, but it's not according to righteousness, though. You got a zeal, but it's not a godly zeal, though. I mean, even Paul says it, I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, you don't believe in the Messiah because you don't want to admit that you're a sinner. You want to admit that you're a rabbi. and want to be called rabbi, rabbi, but you must not be called rabbi. There is only one rabbi, okay? Okay? You're all brothers. That's what Jesus said. And that's why you hated him, some of you, and put him to death.